So, the Shattered Katana is not a bad weapon. However, I definitely know a ton of viable alternatives that may even be better than the Shattered Katana. Of course, you shouldn't drop a high-starred Shattered Katana or enchanted Shattered Katana for the weapons shown in this video, but these are definitely viable and possibly better alternatives to the Shattered Katana. Before we get into possible alternatives, let's cover the Shattered Katana first. The Shattered Katana has a base damage of 20 with a medium weapon scaling of 7. This means the maximum damage for a no-star non-enchanted Shattered Katana is 31.5 damage per swing, not accounting for armor. Shattered Katana has a weight of 5, which determines posture damage, which is around 3 to 4 posture per M1 block. Shattered Katana has a range of 8 and a base armor penetration stat of 25%. And finally, the most important stat here in my opinion is the swing speed, which is right now at a 0.73 after it's been nerfed about 2 times. Before we get into the first alternative, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join my Discord in the description and comment section below, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Reaconteur. Now, back to the video. Shattered Katana is a very good weapon, but we're talking about why it's overrated in this video. So the first, and albeit possibly the worst, but still an alternative to Shattered Katana, with 19.5 base damage and nearly identical stats to the Shattered Katana, apart from the 20% lower pen stat, sitting at a measly 5% armor penetration. Sacred Hammer. So, why is this a good alternative? Well, it does blunt damage and it has shitty animations. The erratic animations make it slightly harder to predict and parry since they're off-synced with your actual weapon's hitbox. Not only that, but they do blunt damage, and it has a superior critical hit animation. The maximum damage is 31, so the 0.5 damage difference to Shattered is nothing, although due to the penetration stat, you'll be losing out on about 7% damage, which also is really nothing. Blunt damage really carries this weapon since it adds larger stuns and better resistances, since most armor stats may be ignored, since most armors have higher slash than physical resistances, making the lower pen justified and making this a highly viable option. Our next alternative is really good. Forgotten Gladius is one that I would say is generally superior to the Shattered Katana as opposed to a side grade. With a base damage of 18 and 7 scaling with a maximum damage of 31.2, there is a very tiny 0.3 damage difference between this and the Shattered Katana. This is a really good weapon. Only 10% penetration means the 0.3 damage difference turns to about a 0.4 damage difference, but it's still really is not noticeable. The biggest part of the Forgotten Gladius is the swing speed. The Shattered Katana has a 0.73 swing speed, however the Forgotten Gladius has a 0.8 swing speed. To some of you it may look insignificant since it's only 0.07% point difference, which to a lot of people doesn't make a difference. But for comparison, Patra's Anchor is 55, Shattered Katana is 73. This means every point of swing speed is about 27 millisecond different. The swing speed difference between these is about a 140 millisecond difference, which is a lot. Especially because average human reaction time is 220 milliseconds and the swing speed of Shattered is around 350 milliseconds or so. So 350 minus 140, 210, making this weapon swing faster than the average human reaction time, making this a very good alternative and a very fast and superior weapon. The next alternative, which is actually starting to become meta now since it's kind of the best medium in the game, Shotel. Well, Alloyed Shotel. Alloyed Shotel, in my opinion, is not as good as Forgotten Gladius because of the swing speed. However, in comparison to the Shattered Katana, it is a direct upgrade. They both have a swing speed of 0.73. However, when alloyed, the Shotel has a base damage of 22, a scaling of 6, and a maximum damage of 32.5, which is identical to the Shattered Katana damage. When alloyed, this also has the same penetration as Shattered Katana of 25%, and they both have the same range. I would also like to point out that the Shotel crit is superior to the Shattered Katana just because it has a weird off-sync hitbox and it's fast. The Alloyed Shotel is literally just a direct upgrade to the Shattered Katana, and there is no reason to use a Shattered over this unless you have an enchanted one or one with high stars and damage or pen. Shotel in its current state is, in my opinion, the second best medium weapon in the game, right behind the Forgotten Gladius, which I personally prefer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and
What about fists?
What do you mean, fists? Fists are a light weapon, that doesn't make sense.
But they have a similar swing speed and damage, making them essentially a medium weapon.
Yeah, they have similar stats to medium weapons, but they're still a light weapon, right? Fine, I'll cover fists, even though they're a light weapon, but they basically have the same standing as a medium weapon because of their stats, but whatever. I'll cover fists. Because if I don't cover fists, I'm gonna get a bunch of angry comments about people saying fists are basically a light weapon. Fists are basically a medium weapon. Shut up. Alright, so I was talking to people and they were telling me to include fists. Fists are not a medium weapon. They are a light weapon. However, Way of Neve and Legion Kata, the only usable ones, are basically medium weapons with less range and better crits. So, let's cover them, specifically Way of Neve. Flamekeeper Cestus, the only viable one. Quick disclaimer in editing, I say a few things in this video that are jokes, like how I say that Shotel has a better crit animation than Shattered Katana, and how I say that Legion Kata isn't viable in the current meta. They are! Still, like, stop getting so mad about these comments. Everything is viable in this game except for Galewind, because Galewind is trash. But yeah, those are just jokes. It's not like I'm saying these are inviable, I'm just making jokes about them because there are clearly better alternatives, like how Legion Kata exists, and so does Way of Neve, and Legion Cestus exists, and so do Flamekeeper Cestus. So don't get mad about this, because these are just jokes. Alright, but back to the video now. Enjoy. With Way of Neve, the only viable fist style right now, has a penetration of 20%, only 5% lower than Shattered Katana. This means that the damage difference is about a 1.1% distributed. With a base damage of 16 and a scaling of 9, this means that the maximum damage is 30. However, the swing speed buff of 0.87, meaning the swing speed is 280 milliseconds faster than Shattered Katana, which is huge. The range is about 2 studs or 1.5 studs shorter, at 6 studs or 6.5 compared to Shattered Katana's 8 studs, but that isn't a big deal since you shouldn't be super far from your opponents when fighting anyway, so it doesn't really matter. As a whole, fists are a very viable alternative to medium weapons, just because, you know, it's a glorified medium weapon that scales off light stat. I guess you can't get Master Flourish, but that's about it. Also, I would have mentioned Curved Blade of Wind in this video because it definitely is really good and probably better than Shattered, especially because of Suffocate and Aftercut. However, it's so specific since it's only for 1 of 4, and also now the least popular attunement, so I just didn't bother mentioning it. But if you are running a Gale medium build, definitely use the Curved Blade of Winds if you can get your hands on one, because it's definitely a really good weapon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see more diversified builds in this dying 3-month-old game. Join my Discord at discord.gg/Reacon, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And make sure to follow me on Twitch because I'm going to start streaming soon at twitch.tv/Reaconteur, that is twitch.tv/REACONTEUR. Subscribe, join my Discord, hit that notification bell, and goodbye. So, this video is not 8 minutes long yet. And because I want money, because I spent like 6 hours editing this video, enjoy these clips of people getting fucked up.